Welcome to Mamas and Mimosas. I'm Roni.
I'm Janelle.
I'm Marianne.
And today we're talking all about mom friends, how to make them, how to keep them, and when to let them go. So grab your mimosas, pop in those earphones, and let's dive right into episode 24. Woohoo!
Oh my god, it's gonna get deep, guys.
A shit show, a pure shit show. It literally takes a village.
I don't know if it was dirty or clean.
Oh my god.
Bad mom.
Like
Yeah.
on wild.
Yes.
Because I'm shining.
Woo! That was good, guys.
Before we start, we want to thank you for screenshotting our episodes and tagging us. We love seeing your posts and who's listening. So keep tagging.
All right, so talking about mom friends, I want to say, thinking back on like my mom growing up, she had a lot of mom friends, but we also have like a huge family. So I like the majority of them were like in-laws, or like, you know, she was super close with like my dad's siblings' wives, or like people at work. They were all like super close knit like clique, I want to say, because like even like at all our parties, like it was always the same group.
Always the mom clique.
Yeah.
Okay, so would you consider work friends mom friends, or you know what I mean? So like, let's break down like what's the definition of a mom friend? Is it somebody that you meet because of your children? Like your kids go to the same school or are on the same baseball team or something like that, or just making other friends who have kids and you can do mom dates and stuff like that?
I think it could be both. I think it's a mixture of both. I think that you make mom friends because your kids want to go play with other kids and you're like, I need to know their mom. And then if you're out and you meet other people and they happen to have kids, I feel like then they can count as mom friends too, right?
Because you can relate to them more, because then you end up talking about your kids. And
So then, Marianne, when you said your mom had like a lot of her mom friends, did she make friends with any of your friends' moms?
no.
Really? She didn't?
Because that's what I think of. Like, I think of like a mom friend being friends with your kids' friends' moms.
I
you
mean,
know?
she was like, as I got older and was starting to play like club ball and things like that, she was cordial with like my friends' moms. Like they would say like, what's up or whatever, but not to the point where they would hang out. But too, like, because my mom raised us as a single mom because my dad had passed, like she was always working. So
Okay.
every time like I was home from school or had things going on with my friends, she was always at work.
Okay.
So it was, I don't know. Yeah, she never hung out with my friends' moms. But like they were super nice to each other every time they would see each other.
But they didn't like come over your house for barbecues, or you
No.
wouldn't like, okay.
No.
See, and I think like that goes back to the question you asked, you know, because like with me growing up, like my mom had a lot of friends who were moms, but they weren't necessarily my friends' moms. Like I don't even think I can, maybe like maybe like 2 or 3 that were my friends' moms, and then my mom befriended them. But other than that, all of her friends were like, well, they were moms, but they were young moms, so they were like leaving us with the grandparents and going clubbing. That was the group.
Yeah, they were like a different category.
Yeah.
Of friends that just so happen to be moms too,
Exactly.
You know?
And then I became their kids' friends because our moms were leaving us together with the grandparents and going out. So I guess technically that's still mom friends.
Okay, so growing up, my mom has 5 sisters. Yeah, no, there's 5 girls in her family and 1 boy. So growing up, my mom was always really close to her sisters, you know, and then we were close to our cousins. And I don't really remember her having any like friends, you know, like she had one girlfriend from work that she kind of kept in touch with, and they would see each other like once a year. And then, but that was it. Like she didn't really have like a social life outside of family. And so, and then forget it. Like if I thought she was gonna be friends with any of the kids from like any of the moms from school, like
You weren't having it.
no, she would not. I feel like my mom's friendly, but she's kind of an introvert, you know, like it takes her a lot.
That's how my
like,
mom was.
Yeah. Like if she meets somebody who like sparks up the conversation and kind of like initiates everything, then she'll go with the flow. But she's not the one that's gonna be like, come over to my house unless she's buzzed. Unless she's buzzed, then she makes all the plans. And I'm like, Mom, you have to follow through. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so so growing up, I didn't really think that you needed mom friends because I felt like you have your family. That's what like you said, your in-laws and your cousins and your siblings are for.
Okay, but I mean, if they didn't have a big family, then I can see
right.
That point of view.
And then growing up, well, as I got older, meeting your in-laws, Roni, like Tony and Tyler's mom, like they literally, their family is friends basically because their family is all out of state, right? So then they have the biggest parties and they invite literally everybody, and they make friends with, oh, he was on so-and-so soccer team when they were 5, and I'm like,
it's everybody. Everybody. Like it's pretty amazing to see though, because like you usually don't see that, and I'm like, what? They're like still talk, and like, and even like the friends that he has are like, oh yeah, I went to kindergarten with them, and then they still talk and stuff, and I'm like, wow.
So you don't like talk to any of your kids like old friends or?
Yeah, I do, but they don't come to parties and stuff.
No, like Marianne, I'm telling you, they have like a Super Bowl party every year, and or like a Steelers party, and they invite all of their parent friends. Yeah, so you're meeting people from the T-ball stages of life, and
she's not even lying.
And it's huge. It's like it's always a big thing, and it's
but
every
they're
year.
Super friendly. Like I've met his parents, and they're like they like make you feel super comfortable.
Oh yeah, they want everything at their house. Yeah, very very social.
Yeah. And my mom, I feel like she wants to act like that, but she's like her like introvert side sometimes gets in the way. You know?
No, your mom is so like, I could totally see her. She could like go with anything, like any setting you put her in, she just goes with it.
Okay. Did you guys go to like school parties and stuff with your parents? Like, would your moms take you when you were younger, or it wasn't until you got a little bit older and then they would just drop you off?
I think I was the drop-off girl. For sure.
That's me.
Yeah. I was the drop-off girl.
My mom wasn't the one that's like, oh yeah, let me go.
I'm gonna come in.
Yeah, and come and make friends and, you know, just hang out. Like now, I feel like now she trips out because if my sons get invited, and they're in kindergarten, so you can't just drop them off, you know. And so I'll tell her, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to Chuck E. Cheese or whatever. And she's like, by yourself, you know? And I'm like, yeah, they invited us. I have to do it. And it's always so awkward though. Like you don't know anybody and you're just there by yourself and you're like
looking at your phone or trying to like look for your kid because you're so awkward.
Yeah, the whole time you're like, pretending that you're so interested in what your kid is doing.
But I don't remember going to parties like that when I was little, like kindergarten or first, like we never went to friends
parties.
Not
that little.
Now that you say that, I don't even remember getting invited that young. Like I feel like the first time I got invited was when I was like in the 4th grade, and it was like a slumber party, and she let me go. She didn't let me spend the night, but she let me go. But
I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
She trips out. She's like, wow, you really like put yourself out there. And I'm like, well, I want my kid to have
to go. Yeah. So you are kind of obligated to go.
You feel rude if you don't go.
So when you go to things like that, like how do you guys make mom friends there? Or like, what's your go-to? Like, are you that mom that's always on your phone that's like, please don't talk to me because I'm shy? Or are you guys like trying to like help at the party and like so that you're not sitting there by yourself?
My first option is I would force my husband to come.
Really? Would he go?
So if he's off, yeah. But if he's working and like a friend of Landon invites him to a birthday and like my husband's working, like I'll just take him by myself and I'll either offer to help or be super involved in what Landon's doing. So it looks like I'm busy with him.
Yes.
Or if like they don't need help and Landon like doesn't want me around and wants to go play, I on my phone. Or I'm eating.
Eating food.
Yeah, eating. That's a good getaway. See, with me, I'm either like looking for that one mom that I do know that I'd say hi to often, or so like there's always that one mom that you talk to more than anybody else. I'm either always like looking for them, or it depends on the vibe. Like if it's like like I don't know, a mom vibe where I'm like, okay, do you need help? But if it's one of those parties where it's like I don't have nothing in common with these bitches, then I'm just on my phone. So it just depends. It just really depends.
I feel like I could relate. I feel like I try not to bring out my phone until the end, like when, like you said, you already felt out the scenery and you know that nobody's gonna talk to you. Do you hate it though, like when you go and you feel like it's already clicky, like there's like a lot of
that's the word, like, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Or like it's kindergarten, how are you guys best of friends already? Like I'm like, isn't this a fresh start? Yeah. Like all of a sudden all the moms are best friends and I'm like, hi, can I get in? Like,
and it can get clicky too. You said the right word. It can really get clicky, and that's uncomfortable.
So it's funny because I recall specifically, like when I had Landon, like all my friends and all my family, like I'm super close with them, but they're all 4 hours away. So I'm kind of out here like on my own. And I remember I had Landon, and then like for the longest time, I was just like a homebody with him, kind of doing that postpartum.
Your helicopter mom.
Yeah, our helicopter mom. And then I tried to venture out, and I would take them to like stroller strides because I wanted to exercise. But I knew like if they had their kids, then maybe like I can relate with them and they can become friends and we would become friends. I remember showing up to the first like workout and they were in cliques, like, and I just stood there like, oh, I'm not happy.
Like, why did I do this to
myself? It was the most uncomfortable thing ever.
And you start talking to the baby like, what do you do?
Yeah.
You care so much.
He was only like 6-8 weeks old.
Oh, so you can't even talk
you
to
can't
him.
even get out of
so
that.
I look crazy. But I did make one friend from stroller strides, and like our kids were probably like 6 months apart. So her kid always is like more advanced than mine. But it's not like to the point where like we go to each other's houses for parties. But I have like taken Landon to her house to like do a play date. But even then it was still kind of like we say, oh, we'll hang out later, or let's do this and this. But it never really gets to that point. You know what I mean?
That mom combo.
It's kind of funny because I feel like I kind of steer clear from the ones that are cliquey already, and then the ones that are like super outgoing and energetic, the life of the party, and I'll kind of like fall back because it's not my people. I don't know them, so I kind of fall back, and then I kind of gravitate towards like the oldest one in the group. I don't know, something about like, and maybe because I'm
like
really close to my mom, I feel like that nurturing. So like I try to gravitate to the oldest one, and then it finds out it's like the nanny or the babysitter or grandma, and I'm just like, I'm gonna hang out with you, and then we just naturally like connect, and start talking. And then it's like, okay, the play dates are kind of not gonna happen because it's awkward, like it's not even their kid most of the time, but I end up gravitating to like either the quietest one and the one that's by themselves, because my husband won't be able to come always with me, so I'll kind of gravitate to the one that's like quiet by themselves and just kind of peaceful, and then I'll go sit and eat my food with them and just make small talk, like about the weather and like where they're from and if
But
that's their
I
kid.
hate those conversations, though. I hate those
do
conversations.
you overdo
Oh
it
my
though?
God, they're
Do you
so
could do you
uncomfortable.
overdo it like so that you don't look like you look like you really know this person? Like you're like, oh my God, like acting so engaged so then the other you don't feel awkward and the other moms are looking like,
Like
oh, well,
we're
she knows
having the
someone
best
here.
time. You know what? No, I don't try to overdo it, but maybe I don't know. You know what? It, like you said, if you recognize another mom, that's when I'll be like, "Oh my God, you're here too!"
Yeah, it makes you feel
Like, hey,
comfortable. Yeah.
yeah. Even though I wouldn't have done that normally,
Hmm.
I would have just continued to just wave hi. But I
Oh,
think that when you have a familiar face there, you're like, "Thank the Lord."
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
if you do see like a familiar face, but they're already like in
If
a
they're the
little
clique.
clique, and you like try to go, but then they're still like engaged in their cliques conversation, so you're kind of
Yes.
standing like on the side of
Oh,
them.
that's happened. That's happened. And
Yeah.
then you have to like
That's weird.
awkwardly walk away because you're
Yes.
just standing there looking stupid.
I feel like I could sense if I'm being invited into a group or not. So
Or-
if they start turning their back on me, then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna stand here and look like a freaking idiot forever. Like I'm gonna go and find one of the grandmas in the group and go sit with her. She's not gonna do that to me.
Yeah,
And
see,
then, but
that's where I just go play with Lennon.
yeah,
Yeah,
follow
that's
the
always,
baby
yeah.
around. And then
Yep.
sometimes there's another mom that's following their baby around. So then you'll start talking too, because you're
Hmm.
like, okay, like you're similar. Oh my God, my nose itches. I'm sorry. I'm not picking it, but I am scratching it. Okay. Um, like I've met people like that. Like I'm following my kid around and then she's following her
Yeah.
kid around. So then we start talking and it's like a natural conversation like that. It doesn't feel so forced.
But then
But
it gets
dude,
awkward when the kid starts running and doing something and you're still trying to have the conversation, but you need to go get your kid.
yeah. I guess it was like, what age are we talking about?
Yeah,
Like
true.
when they're real young. But this thing is just keeps going on. Like you're always meeting new people because of different like sports practices. There's like a whole
Hmm.
new set of moms, and school and each class that they're in or birthday parties. I didn't realize like that this is just going to be an ongoing thing with kids. Like we have to meet other
Yep.
people's moms.
Yep. Like ongoing. You are exactly right.
So do you guys have mom friends that you have been around since the beginning, like since the kids have been little, or have you made new ones like every year that the kids are in a different class, or you know what I mean?
So it's interesting because I feel like um if my kids are still friends with their kids, we'll still invite each other and try to like have play dates. But my kid, it feels like he kind of changes friends or groups of friends every year. So then I'll just kind of let it linger or fade. And then if I
Mhm.
see them, oh, hi, how are you doing? And da da da, and make small talk and stuff. But it's not like we have to get together, because I don't know. It's kind of awkward when the kids don't talk anymore.
Anymore. Yeah. It makes it really awkward.
And I've tried to keep it alive and going, and
And it just doesn't.
sometimes sometimes you have more in common with the mom than the kids have together. So they'll invite you to the birthday parties and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go because like you like the
Yeah.
mom, but then you notice that like your kids are not playing and it's so awkward, and then I feel so bad for my kids, like forcing them to be with people that they really don't have anything in common with.
Yeah.
Has it ever been a situation where your kids are not no longer friends with that friend, but you and the mom are still cool? Or no?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
So do you have any, okay, to answer your question, yeah, because of social media. I think social media helps people kind of stay together without having play dates. Like there's moms that I've kept in touch with just because of social media
Okay.
from when my oldest was in preschool. So that's
Oh
11 years
wow.
ago. Yeah. So, or not 11 years ago, but
But
around
is it
there.
like cordial, or you guys are legit like
Or
cool?
just
Like we like each other's pictures.
so it's just Instagram friends.
But you know what? When I started photography, then people were kind of coming out of the woodworks, like a lot of the moms were wanting me to photograph their families. And
Oh,
so I actually reconnected with a lot of the moms because
Okay.
of that, which I felt like it wasn't really because they wanted to be friends with me. It was more they wanted my service.
They liked your
Your
work.
they wanted to see if you'd hook them up.
Yeah, but yeah, so I feel like it's just social media that's kind of keeping it together, because I don't invite them anymore to the birthday parties, and family gatherings or anything like that.
Yeah.
So have
'Cause,
you
like,
made friends with Landon's, anybody from Landon's class, or like moms or?
I have, but it's not like to the point where, like, we always say we'll hang out or we'll go to your house, or you'll have to come over to our house for a barbecue and the kids can play, but it
The
never,
magic word.
yeah, it never, like, our schedules are so busy, like the mom's a nurse and the dad's a firefighter, and then like Landon, my husband's a law enforcement, so like the schedules are like never working out. So,
Yeah.
but there's been times where like I'll end up meeting her for like a play date at the park, but never to the point where we've gone to each other's houses. And it's funny because the kids ask like, when can I go to their house? And I'm like,
Lord, that's what happened.
Oh, so do you guys feel bad when you just don't click with their best friends' moms? Like, has that ever happened where they want to be over this kid's house all the time and just always have them over? Like, do you ever feel bad that you don't mesh well with that parent? Maybe you don't have anything against them, but you just don't want to hang out with them.
Oh, this sounds like something from experience because I
Or not
haven't.
that you don't want to, but it's like a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Maybe like it's not as easy as other people. You know how you
Yeah.
just click with some people and it's just effortless, and then the other people you're like, oh man, I gotta put a lot of energy
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
conversation.
But I think for me, like, if we're being honest, I'm like the type that is like, I don't befriend girls easily. Like, I'm the type that would rather befriend a boy than I would befriend a girl. So like, if I'm friends with you and you're a female, like, there's something there, kind of thing.
Because you act like a guy.
And even my husband has called me out on it, like, oh, it's gonna be a
Really?
bunch of chicks, so you probably aren't gonna like it. And I'm like, I know, I don't want to go.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Are they just too like girly, or what's the
I don't
problem?
know. I think because I grew up being so insecure about anything and everything, like, I know girls are more judgmental than guys are. Like,
Catty,
guys
yeah,
don't give an F,
exactly.
so
Catty.
like,
Yeah.
my personality will gravitate towards a guy more than it would towards a girl because I don't want to get judged. And like, it's funny, like, my husband will be like, oh, just because you want to go check them out. And it's not that.
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh.
it's easier for me to feel comfortable around people who won't judge me. And I'm not saying all girls are judgy, but they are. And I mean, I'll judge you, but it's not like I'm gonna talk shit about you. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just a
I'm just judging you
natural.
in my head.
Yeah, it's a natural. I just think it's natural for girls to judge other girls,
Oh,
even if you
absolutely.
don't have the intentions of being rude. But
Yeah,
I
it's a
definitely
girl
think
thing.
we're more critical because we're
Yeah.
very critical on ourselves. So then
Yeah.
we are critical of other people. But I can I feel like I could relate to Marianne because I grew up with older cousins, right? And older brothers. So it just so happened my older brothers were always and cousins, the males were always the funny. They were always just joking and just
Yeah.
lighthearted, and it was like, and the girls, like, we would have a good time, but it was very catty and we would argue about dumb shit, and I never saw the guys argue. So to me, I gravitated towards the guys because I'm like, I'd rather shoot the shit with some guys,
Yeah.
and like hear them making fun of each other in their faces,
Yeah.
rather than like the girls talking bad about each other behind their
Behind
backs,
their back.
That's I can't deny that because one of my really, really good best friends is a guy since I was little. So I get it. You're absolutely right. And I don't have to worry about cattiness or anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my mom friends are you guys.
Which is funny because I feel like we gravitated together through our husbands. So it was like the men that brought us
That's true.
together. And
Yeah.
then, yeah.
You know what? It's funny. I'm going to tell this story real quick. because your husband, Chanel, I remember like, I don't know where we were going, but we were all in the car together. It was like me, my husband, and your husband. Like, I think we're going to something for their work thing. And I had said something like, they had said a comment, and in the backseat driver, I was like, oh, that's what she said, kind of thing. And your husband was like, oh my God, you would get along with my wife so much because that's what she says. And I'm like, oh, it's a
You're
chick.
thinking like, no, I'm not. I don't like girls.
I know, right? But I feel like it took us a while to like warm up to each other, and it's probably because that whole like uncomfortability around women. Because I feel like I didn't know that how goofy you were and like laid back until like a year or two into it. You know what I mean? Because, and then I feel like I got along with your husband because we used to say stupid stuff to each other back and forth. And then he would be like, yeah, Marianne just was like, but Marianne, you'd be so quiet. And I'm like, and you would just laugh. So I'm like, I don't know that side of her, you know? So I'm waiting for the perverted side to come out.
You just need to give me some drinks.
Okay, so then how do you guys keep the friendships alive? Do you guys initiate the play dates or how do you meet mom friends? Like first? What advice?
I'm like,
we should say, what advice would you give to a mom who's a new mom and wanting to meet mom friends?
You know, I would say like honestly, just like let it happen naturally. I feel like because I feel like if you try too hard, then you come off a certain way, and if you don't try hard enough, then you come off a certain way. So I feel like just let it happen gradually. Like at some point someone will say something. If you feel the opportunity to speak first, speak first. And I feel like gradually, it'll come together. But don't overthink it.
But on that note, maybe try not to be on your phone the whole time so that it can happen.
Yeah, and let it happen.
Naturally.
Yeah,
because I feel like when we're tunnel vision on our phone, we're not approachable,
no,
so
and not at all.
are not going to be friendly to us.
It's a shield. It's like, no, don't talk to me. Like it's like the natural thing. Like, okay, I don't want anyone to talk to me. Go here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So definitely a tip is let it happen naturally, but be approachable. Don't be on your phone, even if it's uncomfortable at first. But at least fill the room out. Let people feel you. And who if it's like there's a natural connection with somebody, or like it naturally clicks.
Yeah, you'll know. Because I've had situations where like I wasn't really feeling the momish, and like they invited one of my kids, I won't say in case they listen, to a party, and I was just like, yeah, and they wanted to go so bad. So I was like, okay, either I'm gonna have to take one for the team and just go suck it up, or my husband was in town, so I sent him, and I didn't go. I just sent him. And I was like, well, at least the child got to have a great time. My husband can get along with anybody. And it worked out. So I was like, I'm not even going to stress myself out about it. So yeah, so that's all.
Would your husband ever take anybody? Like, I mean, take one of the boys on their own without you to a birthday party? Like, say Landon got invited from a kid from school.
Oh, I'm like, who are you talking to?
Marianne. No.
Nah, I just answered.
On my screen.
Oh, am I looking at a different
direction? On my screen, you're looking at her.
You're on my right. Okay, but yeah.
Yes. Well, if the only time he has taken Landon was if it was his buddy, like my husband's buddy, and they have kids.
But he wouldn't take it to like a stranger from school that you can't take him.
I mean, it's never been an issue where I can't take him. Oh, you know what? When Levi was first born, what happened? I think he did. Yeah, he did take him to a party. Yeah. And he's the type that he doesn't admit it, but he's like a social butterfly. Like, I don't know. I just think he's easy to talk to, or he thinks he's not. Yeah, so I'm like, he didn't have a hard time.
Okay, so earlier when I said that I will make small talk, and Marianne, you said you hate small talk, and I do. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but I feel like that's the only way to meet people. Like, so if you don't like small talk, do you still do small talk to meet somebody, or do you just
I
jump into like
I attempt it, but once someone brings up the weather, I'm like, oh, this is a
What?
fake this is a fake
What?
conversation.
Who's bringing up the weather to you? Oh
Like,
my god.
like
oh
when
my god, wait! I
like,
always bring up the weather when I'm like, damn, it is so hot. Yesterday was not hot. It was.
Wait a minute. So that means something? Oh
Yes.
shit.
So small talk, let me tell you, small talk or fake talk is like when the weather gets brought up. Like, who cares about
It's the easiest going.
But it's funny because I have caught myself do that, and then in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, it's because you really don't want to talk to this person, or you don't know what else to tell them." Like,
yeah, you don't know.
there's nothing else you can talk about, and how far can the weather go?
You know what I?
So,
oh my god, that's
yeah.
so funny.
So to me, like, I'll attempt the small talk. Like, if someone approaches me and says, "Oh, the kids are playing together," or blah blah blah, and I'm like, "Oh yeah," like, I'll engage in the conversation. But if I bring it up or they bring up the weather, it's like,
You're out of here.
I'm
Yeah,
over this.
She
Oh, my
checks
kid's
out.
Full of
my kid's
shit.
calling me.
Wow.
But see,
That's-
I'll admit, like, I've been guilty of bringing up the weather, and then
I
I'll
think I have
backtrack and be like,
too.
"Oh shit, this conversation just went downhill, so I'm gonna go help my kid out."
Oh my god, I feel like that. I feel like I say the weather, or I usually will say some. That's so funny. I didn't even realize this was small talk. I usually will say something about the child, like, if like they're watching their kid playing, I'm watching mine, and then I'll say something like, "Oh my god, her shoes are so cute," or something like
Yes, yeah,
something
that's
about
cute.
the child. Like, it's usually always about the child, because I feel
Yeah.
like for some, how parents are when you start talking about their kids, they're like. It's
Yeah,
like a happy place, I guess, if you really like your kids.
So then you guys will do all the talking, or will you kind of just ask a bunch of the questions, or do you like
it's
when they ask
very
you questions?
yeah.
Do you feel
It's
comfortable
very
when they ask
rare
you
that
questions?
I'll ask. It's very rare that I'm the one asking.
Really?
Unless I really, really think that person is so cool and I really want to be friends with them, then I'll be like, "Hey, I love kid's outfit."
Really?
Yeah, I can, like, I believe that for Marian. I can't see her, like,
Just
asking the
asking
questions.
questions.
Yeah.
See, I'm a question person.
We
Like,
know.
because I hate like awkward silences, so I'm always like, so where'd you guys grow up? Oh, did you guys go to school around here? And like, I feel like I have to ask a million questions, just even if I have no intention on being their friends forever. It's just for the sake of a
And you're
easy
So
good
it's
at it
not
too.
awkward.
But you're good at it. Like, whether you want to know or not, or if you're interested, you always make the person think that you really care. Like,
because
you
I am interested, because I would rather talk about them than be silent. It's so uncomfortable for
Yeah.
me. That awkward silence is like, it kills me on the inside. It's so
Really?
uncomfortable. So I want to know their whole life story. So I will ask so many questions. And then when they start asking me, I get like, this is a little personal.
No, you do not. Oh my god.
Like, don't be so nosy. No. No.
Let's steer to a different conversation.
How funny.
I know. But I was listening to this like mom YouTube thing, and they gave tips for making friends, and I thought that they were really good. So I'm going to tell you guys. So for your listeners out there that want to make friends and don't know really how, or maybe you're a little bit introvert and you kind of need a kick in the pants. So they say to make small talk with people. Like, first of all, they said don't be on your phone, because be approachable. Then it says just make small talk, like, where are you from, how many kids do you have, like, ask about their family, like, oh, is this your first child? I always go with that, like, oh, is this your first? And then they're like, oh no, he's my last, or whatever. And then I'll just ask the ages and all this stuff. I guess I'm nosy. And then it says to ask about, like, what do you guys do for fun, or like, what do you do for work? But to me, okay, so
But when
how
do
do you
you
feel
act?
about that?
No.
How do you feel about asking about work? I don't
Not
feel
no
comfortable
first
asking
birthday
about
party.
no, because there's people that you talk to and they're like, oh, I'm a hairdresser, and I'm, and then you're like, oh, that's cool. But I don't know, like, I feel always uncomfortable to be like, I'm a photographer. I feel like I'm pitching myself to them.
Yeah.
So I don't really like to ask about work.
Yeah.
Unless they like somehow bring it up, or
Even then, I feel like I'm trying to pitch myself to them. they could be getting married, and I'm like all
What?
quiet, like, okay. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Like when people are talking about like fitness or like events and stuff, do you guys kind of like naturally bring up your businesses, or do you
Nope,
kind of
I
no?
don't. And it's probably like my husband always says like you need to like network yourself. Like why wouldn't you say that? But then I'm like I don't want to seem like oh like bringing it up. Like someone could unless like I feel comfortable and they're like talking about it or saying something and then I'm like oh yeah well if you do this and then I'll say like oh I do events like but I won't like just go in like yeah so I do events.
Let me tell you what I do.
I don't really, unless like if someone tells me something about like my fitness or about fitness, and I naturally will be like, oh, I'm doing this beach body workout or whatever, and then like I'll say, but like if they start asking questions like they're interested in the actual program, then that's when I'm like, oh, I get a discount because I'm a coach, and then that's when they're like, oh, so
I want your discount.
yeah. That's like the only way I'll bring it up.
So have you guys ever gotten somebody's phone number or like social media account when like from any of the moms that you've met at either parties or sports events or anything like that?
No, I feel like it's funny. Like, well, it's hard for me because Landon's so small. Like, he's still in preschool or he's about to go into kindergarten. So he hasn't had a lot of opportunities where like I've only met like the preschool moms, you know what I mean? And like I became friends with like who he became friends with, like their parents. But that's the only time we've exchanged numbers is because like, oh, do you want the kids to sign up at the same like sport thing or whatever? So what's your number? So we can like get them signed up together.
You're like friends?
Yeah.
Okay, friends.
But I remember like I would look up like their social media handles and I'm like, do I want to push like request friend or do I want to wait for them to request me? And I think it took like a year or two. And I was just like, F it, I'm just going to ask to be their friend on social media.
I don't really have a lot of the mom friends on social media.
Me neither.
There's very few, and those are the ones that maybe have come to my house, and then it kind of comes up in conversation like that. But like the ones that are just school friends, moms or whatever, like I don't know. I just feel like I don't want them to not let their kid come over because they say like they think I cuss or something, you know? Sometimes they say bad words on social media.
Or on your podcast.
Or on podcast.
It's funny because Landon's like, it's hard for him to make friends. I want to say like he's a little introvert himself. Okay. So when he does make friends, it happens to be like his kind, like we all cuss or like, you know, they're more laid back.
It was so funny on the side note. So the neighbor, she's so sweet. Like our neighbors are so sweet and they're Filipino and which has nothing to do with this, but I want to paint a picture in your mind because I like to do that. Okay. So she came over and she's so sweet and innocent. And then like, she was like, oh my goodness, I found you on your Instagram and I'm listening to your podcast. And like, all of a sudden I just felt so hot. Like, no, don't listen.
You can only have sex twice a week.
I know. It's just like, I told my husband, oh my God, I don't want her to listen. Like I don't know if she thinks we're so innocent, you know, or what. And I just don't want her to think bad about me.
What? You don't do anything bad on here, Janelle.
I know, but I feel like I don't want to talk about our sex life. She's my neighbor.
Yeah,
you know?
They probably already heard you guys.
People that are listening are probably like, well, then why say it to other people? But I feel like, you know, when you have your ideal listeners, like the other moms who are struggling, I don't think she's a struggling mom, so she doesn't need to know.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
You know, like this is, we made it for other moms who are going to take it and like it's going to help
For our
them
mommy
grow.
tribe.
Yes. Yeah. Not for like, not that she's snobby, but like, then there's snobby people who are just listening to be nosy and to critique and talk crap. And then there's the moms who like are really, really innocent and sweet and you don't want them to know that you have sex.
Or she thinks you're so cool and she just wants to know more about you.
Janelle, she's looking at you and your 3 kids. She knows something was happening.
Oh my God. Okay. So then did you guys already say, what happens or what you guys do to keep the friendships alive, or like what happens after the kids stop being friends?
No, I don't think we did. But
No.
you move on to the next. I'm just kidding.
Does it get awkward for you guys? I think I brought it up a little bit
You
earlier.
know what? Because this happens, this is like, I feel like this is in my ballpark because my child is about to go to high school. So he's been through quite a few groups. And like, I'm really like, he can't go like to his friend's house and all that if I don't know the parents. So, 100% all the time, I'm sure I know the mom or the dad or whatever the case may be. And it gets weird because like especially if there's a reason that he stopped like talking to them. Like there's a couple of friends who he was like, oh, once we came back to school they start going a different direction, and thank God he's like, I'm just not into that. So then it makes it awkward because then the parents are like, oh, they don't hang out anymore, and you're like, oh, because my son said he saw your kid with some cigarettes. Like, you can't really say, but it makes it awkward. But I'm still cordial with them. Like if I see them out at school or something, we speak, but we keep it pushing with the kids. Like, well, at least I do. Like I don't think I have too many mom friends that the kids have moved on and I'm still friends with the mom.
Have you ever had a mom like ask you why, like,
They're not
oh,
friends.
what happened? How come they're not friends anymore, or anything like that, or kind of gave you like a little guilt trip?
I feel like I've had like a mom say like, oh, I don't know why they don't hang out anymore. And I'm like, those kids, they go with their friends like shoes. And I'm
That's a
thinking
good
like,
one. You know
you
those
had all
kids.
those, you stole your pack of cigarettes and was in the bathroom smoking them all. Yeah, so you
There's
can't.
a show. Did you guys watch that TV show called Big Little Fires?
Mm-mm.
I think that's what it was called. I'll link it, but I think it was called Big Little Fires. But it was similar. Like the mom was giving her daughter shit because the daughter used to hang out with her best friend, and then once they got to high school, little did the mom know that the best friend started bullying her and like teasing her and embarrassing her and talking crap to her. And her mom would always like pressure her daughter, like, why don't you just go hang out with them? They're so cool and you can be cool. And she's just keeps like pressuring the daughter to be friends with her, and the daughter just doesn't feel comfortable to tell her mom like, hey, she's bullying me.
Yeah.
So have you guys ever dealt with anything like that where like
No, but this show sounds good. What does it come on?
oh my God, it's so good.
On Netflix?
I think it was Hulu
Mm,
or Prime. I'll
okay.
link it. It's
Okay.
so good. It's really good. But that reminds me of that. Like, just like, don't force a friendship that's just
Yeah.
not happening.
But have you forced friendships too? Because now the other way around, like I have a lot of friends who were like my childhood friends or friends that I grew up with, and they have kids. And I kind of like, we get together and then they bring their kids. And then it's kind of like you almost force your kids to like talk to the kids because you're friends with the mom and you want them to come around, and then they bring their kids.
So I've had something similar happen where somebody came over and they brought their kid, and their kid was like an introvert too, and the kid just didn't want to play with my kids. And I kept telling my boys, like, invite him to play, like, see if he wants to play this or the cars, or because like me, I just don't like awkward silence, so I'm like, play with each other, have fun. And then my son came to me and he's like, Mom, like, he literally told me, I already said I don't want to play with you, like, leave me alone. And so then I'm like, oh, forget it, then no,
And
then
did you
don't worry
feel
about it.
bad though when
And
he's
I
like,
did.
Mom,
I
I'm
felt
trying?
bad. Yeah, because me and my husband were like, dude, why don't you guys go play football or go play catch or whatever? Because his parents were over, and we were all having a good time. and I didn't know that the son was choosing not to play, you know, and so then I felt bad because we were, I guess,
Forcing him.
we were forcing him. So then after that, I was like, okay, but we now know to just like, because we like the parents, so we'll do couple things instead, you know, like you don't always have to necessarily, just because they have kids, hang out with them and their kids. You could have category friends, you know, like you got your mom friends that the kids get along, so you're guaranteed, you know, to have like a kids date, right? And then you have your mom friends that need a break, and maybe their kids are all different ages, you know, so maybe their kids don't even play with each other anyway, and you are guaranteed like a good mom date night, you know, no kids allowed. And then you have your couple friends who, like, maybe your husband gets along with their husband, so you guys do couple things, you know, or maybe your husbands don't like each other, so you just have girls night. Like, I feel like you have to kind of, instead of ditching the friends that you actually love and want to hang on to, but like have a reason why, oh, it's just not working because they're kids or whatever, you just kind of put them in a different category. Like, okay, now we're going to be girlfriends, you know, and we'll do girl nights, you know, and then we'll do couple nights with these friends or whatever, and just kind of make it work for you rather than just cutting them off.
Yeah.
Completely.
That's
You know?
good advice.
That is good.
Like that.
You guys don't have that? Like, do you feel like all your friends have to be like family friends?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, you do, but aren't they out of town? Or
So, and like I was one of the first ones out of like my close friends to have a kid, so it was like harder for me. But I do have like BFFs and friends, but they're not here. Like I live 4 hours away from like all my friends, so
So don't
it's
say
a
you
little
don't
hard.
have friends, 'cause they'll be mad at you if they
I
hear
know,
this
they're
and
gonna
you
be like,
say I don't have friends. They'll be like,
you
oh
don't claim
really?
us?
So now you don't have friends. You got a podcast and now you don't have friends. Okay.
But it's because I had my kid first, like our kids are not the same age, so like all of them are just now starting to have kids, or I have one that had a kid but now she's like in high school, like, so my kids are not anywhere near their ages, so it's like harder. Like when I hang out with them, it's just me and them, it's not like with the kids.
No, I hear you. Oh, but sometimes with those age differences, you'll get that older kid who loves little kids, you know, and they're like so good with them and they don't mind having like family dates, you know? So you just have to kind of give them a chance.
My friends are definitely in categories, like you said. Everybody is like in a category, but I feel like they have to be in a category because I feel like certain people don't mesh well with other people, so I just have to like give everybody their own time, I guess.
So do you mix old friends with new friends, or
we're talking about kid friends? That's a whole nother episode.
okay, well, a new mom friend, like say it's your kid's birthday party, okay, and you want to invite Devin some mom friends, and then you obviously invite your family and your closest friends. So do you kind of like invite the mom
mix
friend
them up,
and say she comes by herself? Do you kind of introduce her to your original crew, or do you let her sit by herself?
You know how those parties go though. Like you intend to like talk to everybody and you want to like, you know, but you at those kids party, you're like, oh, this, you're like, you barely even have time to talk to your actual like friends. Like you're like, at the end of the party, you're like, I'm sorry, I didn't really talk to you. I was like, everyone knows the golden rule of a kids party. You're never really talked.
You're not there for the parents. No.
So what about you? You have everybody. Like I feel like you mix up everybody, like your family, your friends, and it's just one big old
I try to mix
party.
people who have well, first of all, I try to only invite the people who have positive vibes. You know,
that's
so
the
that
step.
Everybody can get along, you know, like if I know I have to invite that person who has a negative vibe, then I won't invite new people because I don't want that person to
Really? You really put that much thought into it?
It really stresses me out. It
Oh
really
wow,
does.
that's
So like
really nice.
I may have like a smaller gathering with those selected few, but like for the larger gatherings, like I try to invite like all the, easygoing people so that everybody, so you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to go to the restroom thinking, oh, Nancy's going to bump into the new girl and bully her,
Oh,
Right,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, I
just to
know.
avoid those problems, because
But the,
I I've been in those situations where like there's those certain family members have hotter heads, and then they don't like your new friends, and then it's like they just ruin everything for that relationship.
but I notice the older I get, the more that I don't care. Like, not that I don't care about other people's feelings. That sounds horrible. But I
You're on
just
your
don't
own.
care to stress myself out about keeping everybody on. I'm like, we're all adults here. Like, either come and don't say anything to this person or don't come. Like, I don't want to stress myself out about like, oh, I can't invite her because I can't invite her because then if they get together, then they may mess up my house. Like, just if I'm your friend, come and respect me and just stay on this side, stay on this side.
Well, wouldn't that be nice if everybody just
I
been
know.
respectful? Isn't that a la land that you live
No,
in?
I've had it happen. I've had it happen. You were here too.
What? When
Yeah.
there was drama?
No, okay. Let's
Oh,
stay on
I
track.
don't remember
Let's stay on
drama.
track. Let's stay on track.
So Marianne, with your friends, like, cause your wedding, you had your close friends and some of your newer friends, right?
Yeah.
So did you like, are you good at introducing everybody and trying to like integrate those groups, or do you kind of keep them separate?
No, I try to. I mean, everyone had a good time, and it was like all inclusive, so everyone was pretty like wasted. But like everyone gets along. My friends are not like drama, so I'll try to mix them. Like if I notice someone's off on their own and not included, then I try to help them, like go hang out with them and then bring them along. But to like sometimes I feel like people want to just be by themselves, so I don't like force it. Like I'll try, and if they still are like on their own, then maybe it's just that kind of day for them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like have a problem mixing my friends.
That's cool. I feel like some people get territorial. Like they don't want you to be close to somebody else, so they don't mix their friends. They're like afraid, or they're like they don't want you to have another best friend, or like it's very catty, I
Is
feel
So
that
like.
everybody
I've
though?
had
I
that.
think
I've
it's
had that
everybody.
happen.
Have you?
Yeah. So like
Everyone has that friend.
I've had like a best friend where like we were super super close, and like it's funny now because everyone knows, like my friends know that we're not friends anymore, but it was like a huge shock for everyone when we stopped being friends. And every time like I noticed there was a little, like whenever I would have a new friend that was super close, or if I got a new boyfriend, like she became kind of like um sketch, if you want to call it that, like
Mm-hmm.
not as cool, or like she'd be mean to them or whatever. And then it just got to the point where we like drifted apart. And because then that's when I had met my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, and like we moved out here to Southern California together, like we were that close. And then so that's why when we stopped being friends, it was kind of like, oh, now I have no friends here. But yeah, it was like one of those things where every time I introduced like a new person into the mix and I was super close with them, she was not all about it. So
So I feel like in the last couple of years, I was trying to have like more women activities, like girl activities, like social gatherings, because I felt like I was lacking in that department. Like we were good on like couple dates and me and my husband hanging out all the time and stuff. That I was like, I need just girl time.
Girls'
Like I
night.
don't, So I was trying to like pool all the girls that I thought were gonna have a great time together, and most of them did. But there was like one of them that was like just all of a sudden just had attitude one day, and she had never done that before. And I just felt kind of awkward, and because I was like, oh wow, like I didn't know
Here I am trying to
you
figure out who
were
it is.
just gonna
know.
randomly bug out, you know? So that kind of just gave me like a little vibe, like, all right, like
So you're not friends with her anymore?
I don't. No, no. I mean, everybody's fine. Like we're fine, but it just made me feel like, okay, well now I feel like I can't invite you to certain gatherings because I don't want you to pop off on any of my friends, you know?
Yeah.
So it kind of like makes you see who really is social and able to get along well with others, you know? I mean,
Is that why
I'm
you
not
stopped
expecting
having girls' nights?
no, it's because my dad passed away. And that's
Oh.
all. But
That's why I'm saying
but I
like
just
they
feel
should
like
be
most of the
respectful.
people, yeah, like most of the people like want that girls break and to mingle and don't have time for drama and don't have time, you know, so that's the kind of vibe that I want to be around. I don't want to be around people who are just going to be moody one day and just take it out on everybody, you know? And it's like,
Yeah.
all right,
That was fun.
I got family for that. I don't need to, you know?
Don't bring that shit over here, okay? I have enough.
Yeah, I don't need those vibes. Oh my god. Okay, so have you guys ever been dumped by a mom friend? Do you feel like you guys have ever like
I
All
don't
the
know.
all the
No.
time? You said, Mary? I mean, Roni.
all the time, yeah. But I bring it on myself because I'm I'm that mom friend that's like, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna get together, okay, and then
You
I'm
never
like,
hear back from
no, or they'll reach out, and then I'm like, yeah,
I'm busy.
so, oh, not feeling it now.
You're my mom. You're my mom.
You
You're
know
like
what?
all down for it at some
Seriously,
point.
your mom, I feel like this is how I'm gonna be. Like she reminds me a lot of myself because we can get along with anyone, like if you show us conversation, but we're just not gonna be like all out there. But we
Yeah.
definitely, you know, yeah, yeah.
You're like,
I'm your mom.
I
I'm
see
your
that.
mom.
Because my mom, like, I feel like when she's on a high with her energy, you know, she's like, yeah, I'll go to your vacation. And then, like, as
Never
soon
go.
as she goes home and wakes up, she's like, no, that would be a lot of energy. And I don't have that time for that.
Oh yeah, it's so
I
sad.
feel like I've definitely lost touch with friends and I've just kind of let it go, you know, like, and if we see each other, then we'll see each other. But I feel bad because there's some friends that, yeah, they'll invite constantly and maybe they invite a little bit last minute. So you just can't go, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because it just doesn't work out. And I think that with kids, it, the last minute things hardly work out, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always like, please don't stop inviting me, but it just the time
So
didn't
we
work out.
can't come for the 8th time, but
I
don't.
know, but one day I'll make it, please.
Oh, I want to say this is how I knew I was kicked out of a mom group. Let me
Oh
tell
my
you this
God.
story. I knew I was kicked out when like this mom group, we would like get together for like coffee. We would go to like the movies. Like they would set up like different things. And then like some of our kids start going with like different cliques, but some of them were still together. And then the moms would still all talk. And then I saw that that whole group of moms went on a cruise. And
Without
yeah,
you.
I didn't even get like an invite. And then my son was like, did you know they all went on a cruise? Did they ask you? I was like, yeah, they told me about it. I didn't want to go. They didn't tell me about no, they didn't tell me shit about it. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I didn't want to go because I get, you know, seasick and I don't have time for all that. But I was like, they didn't even invite me. And I was kicked out.
Okay, now that you say that, I have recently been kicked out of a
Have
mom
you?
group. Yes,
See?
so I was part of a mom group, and we were like part of the original mom group, and
The
then it
original.
kind of
The
yeah,
original.
it fell through, like it just like kind of dwindled, right? And then I just realized, I just heard that they just started back up again and didn't
And
invite
they
me, and I'm
didn't.
like, oh. And I'm not gonna lie, like it stung a little because I was like, I didn't, okay, I
Yeah,
didn't get the invite.
you were trying to think like, let me think, did I offend anybody or what did I do? Yeah,
Right.
you kind
That's
of,
what I was
yeah.
thinking. It totally made me think, like, did I do something wrong? Like, what am I too loud? Like, what happened?
You're too extra for them.
And then I was like, okay, like just let it go. And then
Yeah.
there's, you just gotta let it go.
But
Let
it
it
does
dwindle.
it does get to you. I seen one of the lady after they came from their cruise. I end up seeing one of the moms in Hobby Lobby, and like we stopped and we were talking. And I was like, I'm about to bring it up. I'm gonna show you that I know. And so I was like, so how was the cruise? And she looked like, oh my God. She was like,
Oh,
oh, it was good. Like she was totally caught off guard. I did that all on purpose. And I'm like, you didn't invite me, but it's okay.
Okay,
She's
but
so
has that
awesome.
ever happened to you where you put a group together and maybe didn't invite somebody because you just didn't even think about them, or you just didn't think that they were available or that they would mesh well with the group, right? And then later on they found out about it, and then you feel like, oh my God, like I didn't invite you, but in reality it wasn't something sneaky, it just didn't fit.
Oh, mine was sneaky. So never mind.
On that note, we we want to know how you guys make mom friends.
How sneaky are you?
Yeah. All right. So make sure to visit our private Facebook group over at Mamas and Mimosas to chat with us about this episode and share this episode with someone you think could relate. We're here to help make mamas feel less alone in this struggle. Thanks for hanging with us. See you next week.